Hi everyone, welcome to Vantage Live Analysis session. So I'll give it about 1 to 2 more minutes for more people to join us before we get the session started. At the same time, I have my questions tab as well as my chat box open, right? So if you guys have any questions, please put them under the questions chat. So if there are any charts that you want us to take a look at as well, right, please put them under the questions chat. Okay, so I'll just give it about 1 more minute before we get the session started. If there are any charts that you guys want us to take a look at together, right, do put them under the chat and we will take a look at them. Okay, at the same time, right, for those of you guys who want to access the previous recordings, you can just go to vantagemarkets.com/webinars, right? So over here, let me just bring up this page. Okay, so just go to vantagemarkets.com/webinars under education and tools, educational webinars here. So over here, you will be able to see the upcoming sessions as well as the speakers and the content that will be covered. So we have webinars on a daily basis, right? So you can actually sign up for the sessions here, right? So these are the different schedules and the different speakers that we have. And if you want to take a look at the recordings of the previous session, right, just scroll to the bottom of the page, and over here, there's actually the previous recordings. It's linked to Vantage YouTube, right? So you can just take a look at that. If not, you can just go to Vantage, just go to YouTube and just search Vantage Markets. Okay, so this is for those of you guys who are asking for the previous sessions recordings. Okay, so let's get the session started. Okay, so just a quick introduction of myself. I'm Lee Sing. I provide FX advisory to institutional clients. You can also find me on LinkedIn, right? So if you guys have any questions with regards to the content done on Wednesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn, or you can type your questions under the questions chat. So just a quick disclaimer before we get the session started. The information presented here, it's not to be treated as investment advice. It's for educational purposes only. So this is the agenda that we will be covering for today, right? So first we will take a look at the key economic events, and then following which we will be taking a look at our trade setups. So setups that were done on Wednesdays, as well as a review of them. And then I'll also be showing 2 setups that I'm taking a look at, right, for the coming week. At the same time, if you guys have any chart setups that you want us to take a look at, do put them under the tab. And then finally, there'll be our Q&A session and chat requests, right? So this is open throughout the session. So anytime you guys have any questions, just put them under the tab. So before we hop on to our trade review, right, let's first take a look at our economic calendar. So for economic calendar, you can go to Vantage Markets, right? So under education and tools, economic calendar. Okay, so over here, you can see that this is basically the economic calendar, the impact of the events according to these colored boxes, right? So the ones in amber as well as the ones in red are the ones with higher impact. So you can take a look at these events here. So you can see the upcoming ones. The higher impact ones would be on CAD retail sales data, right? So as well as dollars existing home sales, right? So mainly involving around dollar and CAD. Okay, so this is the key events, right? So I have a request for pound dollar, roger that. Okay, so yes, I'll be taking a look at pound dollar. Okay, so yeah, so these are the key events, right? So coming up, you can see that the main ones that we have would mainly be revolving around dollar and CAD. So let's take a look at the setups, right? So there were 2 setups made on, 3 setups made last Wednesday. I mean the 2 days before, right? So on Wednesday. So in this case, right, let's take a look at them. So we'll first start off with dollar index, followed by gold, euro dollar, and Aussie dollar. So let me just bring out the charts. Okay, so this is the chart. Okay, so let's first take a look at the setup on dollar index first, right? So dollar index is a good gauge of where the dollar might be heading, right? Especially if it's sitting on a key level. So on dollar index, you can see this area. Right? So this is the last area. It's still sitting on the monthly support area right now, testing the 50% retracement. So for the 50% retracement, we took it from this low to the high, right? So essentially it's testing some kind of support here. This is on the monthly picture. If you're on the daily picture, you can see that prices are still forming your lower lows and lower highs, right? So we've marked out a few resistance level. One, it's this area here, this line that we have, right, at around 103.50. So this is the resistance area. We saw price reacted at this region, this area here, right? And then it just pushed deeper into the zone. And what we have following which, right, so the next level that we've highlighted, at least on a 4 hours picture, it's this area, right? So basically this is our upside confirmation. If price breaks above this, then we could be expecting more upside. Right now, you can see that prices are just consolidating. It's moving sideways, but there isn't any key break above, right, this area. So I'm just waiting for a break above this region, right? This is the H4's resistance. So you can see that at least coming into the support region, it's still bearish market structure with lower lows and lower highs being formed. So we need a break above this area, right, in order to confirm more upside. So this is on dollar index. So the next one that we want to take a look at would be on Aussie dollar. So let's take a look at Aussie dollar. Okay, so these were the setups made on Wednesday. So on Aussie dollar, you can see again, starting from the higher time frame first on the weekly picture, right? Prices are sitting on this area. It's also the last move. You can see that if you take it in terms of candles, right? Essentially, this candle itself is the candle that's still held within the wick of its previous one, the previous candle here. Oops. So this candle essentially, right? So this is the area where we saw this strong push up and a sharp rejection. So this for me is a resistance or supply area. It's also in terms of just taking specific candles alone. It's also the candle that held within its previous candle before the break below. So right now prices are in a potential weekly area, right? Weekly resistance. So this zone over here. If you're on the 4 hours time frame, right? So back on Wednesday, when we saw this move, right, we saw that prices were still holding above this ascending trend line. It broke and formed a new high as well. So you have higher lows, higher highs. We highlighted this as a support. Also the weight or the downside confirmation level. So if you take a look at the recording done on Wednesday, right, so that's posted on YouTube, you can see that this is the downside confirmation level, which means that if price breaks below this level, right, below this area, below the support region, right, we're waiting for basically a pullback into a supply, and then we can play shots from there. So price broke below this downside confirmation level, right? Also broke below the support area. So right now you can see that the last leg of this move is actually this area here, right? So this is actually the push down, and then we're seeing a potential pullback. So if you go down to the 30 minutes time frame or even a 1 hour time frame, you can see again, right, coming into this zone, the first thing that we want to do is to highlight support resistance areas, right, because those are zones that we want to take a look at. So in this case, right, on the 30 minutes or on the 1 hour time frame, you can see that the most immediate level, right, in terms of support resistance level, it's actually this area here. So I'll just put this in a different color. So again, right, this area here, because of how price interacted with it previously, you can see that how price tested as a support twice, once over here, second time here, and then we saw a break below and then a retest of it. And this is accompanied with a strong bearish candle, right, with very small wicks. So in this case, it shows that there is a strong selling pressure, right? So in this case, this for me is the first resistance area over here, right? So another thing that you can check as well, right, it's to take a Fibonacci retracement of this move using this high as the starting point and this low as the ending point. So when we do that, right, we take a Fibonacci retracement of this move, high to low. You open up this key levels, you can see that the 38.2%, it's currently sitting on this area. And the next level that we have, right, above the 38.2 would be the 50%. At this zone as well, right, if I were to draw a horizontal line across, you can see that it once again splits the chart very nicely in half, right? Price testing as a resistance and then as a support. Okay, so these are the two zones that I would like to keep a lookout for. Again, coming into these areas, right, when price comes into this zone, you can see that on the smaller picture, right? So in order to ensure that this zone is being respected, I want to wait for a change in structure on the smaller time frame. It can be the 15 minutes, it can be the 5 minutes, right? But what we want to see, right, prior to coming into this this supply region, it's that we want to see clear higher lows and higher highs being formed. So this on the 4 hours, it's a leg down, and we're seeing a pullback leg. Within this pullback leg itself, you can see that on the smaller time frame, it's bullish market structure, essentially forming your higher lows and higher highs. So if price respects this zone, right, we should be seeing a new structure being formed, a break of the last low, which then signifies that this area could be respected as a resistance. So this is the first area for me to watch, and this is the next area here. Okay, so these are the two zones to watch. Okay, so this is on the 15 minutes time frame, right? So basically it's the picture that I have on Aussie dollar, right? So when price pushes into this area, right, again, go down to the smaller time frame, check for confirmation, a break of the last low, right? And in this case, you can target this area, so the support region over here as the most immediate low, right? If price breaks above this area and pushes higher into this zone, it's the same thing, right? So if it pushes higher into this area, it would again form your bullish market structure coming into this zone. So in order to see if price respects this area, we just need a change in structure on the smaller time frame. Okay, so this is on Aussie dollar, right? So the next one that we want to take a look at, right, would actually be on Euro dollar and then on gold. Okay, so this is a review, and then following which we will be taking a look at pound dollar as well. So you can see on Euro dollar, right? So basically again on the higher time frame first. So in this case, right, price did not break below the downside confirmation. So we're still waiting for that, right? So in this case, you can see on the higher time frame, the weekly region, right, prices are sitting on a weekly supply. So again, right, looking at how the candles interacted with one another, even if we were to stretch it across, you can see that it was a demand turns supply area, right, or resistance and support area, right? So price came in, tested, we saw the bounce above it, and then price failed it, and right now it's coming into this region again. So this is on the weekly picture, right? On the daily picture, you can see that again, right, price pushing into this supply region. And then on the H4, right, this is the H4 area. So we identified this as the H4 demand zone, right? So this area here. So essentially how we found this area, it's again just seeing how price interacted with this zone previously. If you take a look at the H1, it's probably clearer, right? So essentially on the H1, you can see that prices were moving sideways. And then in this case, price came in, tapped into this demand area. It swept the previous low as well. So you can see that it swept the low of this move here. Right, and then what happened following which is that price then came in again, tapped into this area, which swept the move, right, and it just continued higher. So this, it's currently the low on the H1, right, and prices are pulling back. This is the supply area. So currently prices are testing this region, right? So if you want to be more conservative, right, still the same setup. So it's still sitting above the ascending trend line, still holding above the demand area. So our call on Wednesday is to wait for a break and close below this area, right? This downside confirmation area to play to the next drop. But you can see the break didn't happen, right? So prices continue much higher. So there will be no entries being triggered for this, right? So still the same setup, right? So if price continues higher, right, and forms a new low, which breaks the previous high, which is this high here, this high, right, I'll wait for a break of the last low, which is this area, right? And in order to play a further push down. So the idea is that if prices are sitting on a weekly supply area, right, how do we know whether the supply region is going to hold? So this is by taking a look at the smaller time frames market structure, right? So if it continues with higher lows, higher highs going up, right, the trend's expected to continue, right? We know that this supply area wouldn't hold, right? But if we're seeing some kind of resistance coming into this zone, then the first sign of it would be a change in market structure on your smaller time frame. Okay, so this is the picture for me on Euro dollar. It still stays the same, right? So if price breaks below this level, a retest of it to play the drop to the next support level here. In terms of whether there are any Fibonacci retracement levels that line up with this support region, right? So this is the last move. So based on what we covered yesterday, right? So this is the last move, and this is the low, and this is the high. So what we want to do is to take a starting point, right? Taking your Fibonacci retracement from the starting point, low to high here. So that's what we're going to do right now, right? So if you take a Fibonacci retracement of the move from low to high, again, check your key levels, right? So you can see that this blue zone that we've highlighted, this area here, lines up with the 78.6 retracement level. And our downside confirmation level, right, let's see if there are any levels that line up there. So in this case, not really, right? The downside confirmation level is more of a zone, right? And lying slightly higher is the 23.6 retracement. So it's basically the same area, right? This zone here. Okay, so in line with the 23.6 retracement. So this is the picture for me on euro dollar, right? Let's take a look at the next setup, which is on gold. And then we will hop on to pound dollar as well. So for gold, right, let's take a look at this, right? So you can see on the higher time frame first, right? So on the bigger picture, prices are sitting on the supply region. You can see this area here, right? This is, I believe this is on the weekly. So we highlighted this area as the weekly supply. Price pushed up into this area. When you're on the 4 hours time frame, you can see that previously price broke the daily supply, right? Broke above it, retested as a support, right? So you can see this move over here. Price broke above, retested this area which consolidated previously as a support before it continued higher. So back where we saw the chart on Wednesday, right? We were somewhere here. So this, I believe, was the 1 hour time frame. So in this case, right, what happened is that price came into this region, and essentially on the smaller picture, we identified this area as the resistance zone, right? So if I were to zoom in further, you can see once again, right, how this takes place. So we have a higher, we have a 1 hour resistance area, which is this area over here, right? So this zone. And then essentially, right, this is the last area. So price came into this region, right? And then this is the downside confirmation level over here, right? So seeing how price reacted to this zone. So in this case, right, price basically broke below the downside and then it reached this area, the support region here, which is the profit target. But in such a case, right, even though it actually played out, it broke below the downside confirmation, I wouldn't consider this because this supply region, it's actually the next supply region over here, right? So it no longer holds. So I was waiting for price to enter into this and then break below the downside confirmation. But once price breaks above it, then in this case, right, this for me would not be considered a trigger or a valid setup. Okay, so let's take a look at where we are right now. So on the 15 minutes, you can see again, right, higher lows and higher highs being formed. 15 minutes, if you take a look at it in line chart as well, right, just mark out the significant reversal points. You can see clear higher highs and higher lows being formed. So right now, right, what we're waiting for, it's a clear structure to be formed, price to pull back into a supply. And once there's a break of this, right, then it shows that there could be more downside. So right now for me on gold, right, so if I were to remove all these setups, right, the ones that are valid right now, be this region, so essentially price sitting on the supply area, right? And then if you're on the 1 hour or 15 minutes time frame, you can see here price pushing higher. So this would be the last resistance then support area. You can see even if you have to stretch this zone across, right, how price reacted as both a resistance and then again as a support. Okay, so this is the region for me, also the downside confirmation level, right? So if price breaks below this low, we could see a further push down, right? So this would be the downside confirmation level. In terms of the target, right, you can see that in for the support area, right, this is the whole leg up. So just in terms of support, right, this would be the next support. Again, right, if you draw a horizontal line across, you can see how price reacted as both a support and resistance. So this would be on gold, right? So again, we need to wait for a break and close below this area. So this is the downside confirmation level. So break and close below this level, right, before taking further drops. So this is on gold, right? And the another setup that we want to take a look at, right, would be on pound dollar. So let's take a look at pound dollar. Okay, so from the higher time frame first, so let me just remove all these drawings. So you can see on the monthly picture, so again, right, sitting on this area, right, so support and resistance level, if you have to draw a horizontal line across, you can see that this is also the zone, right, so prices are currently testing, right, so if you draw a horizontal line across, you can see that this is the area. So this is where it is currently on the monthly picture. If you're on the weekly picture, you can see that price, right, pushed up into this region, right? And essentially what it does is that it forms a new low. So price pushed up, form a new low, and it's currently pushing back into this supply area here. So this is on the weekly picture. If you're on the daily, right, pretty much the same thing as well. So there's a new low that's being formed, price testing this region, right? If you're on the smaller time frame, you can check this area here, right? So this would be the supply. So on the daily time frame, right? So this is the weekly picture, but if you have to highlight it just based on daily supply region, for me, this would be the area here. You can see that again, right? You saw how price reacted over here, right? So there's some kind of support that's going on, right? So price tested this region as a support, right? Even if I were to draw a horizontal line across, you can see that price tested this area as both a support and resistance. If you switch it to line chart, you can see pretty much the same thing. So price coming in to test it as a support resistance, and then following which price failed, and currently it is coming into this region again. So this for me is the resistance area, right, on the daily time frame. So it's currently coming into this region here. So if you're on the 4 hours picture, you can see here, right? So on the 4 hours picture, what we have is that price came in, tested this resistance area, right? And then currently it's just forming new structure here. So right now, right, what we are concerned about is that when price comes into a resistance area, same thing, right? So if price comes into a resistance area, we're expecting a change in structure to happen, right? So if you're still forming higher lows and higher highs, you can see at least on the 4 hours time frame, it's still showing you bullish market structure with higher lows and higher highs being formed. So in this case, right, when we are on the 1 hour or even the 15 minutes time frame, we're just waiting for a structure to be formed. So you can see that this is the new low that's being formed, right? Price pushed up and currently it's just hovering around. So on the 15 minutes time frame, in terms of the resistance area, right? Maybe on the 30 minutes will be clearer. So in terms of the resistance area here, right? This, it's the high. You can see that there isn't any key levels, right? Not on the 30 minutes, not on the 15 minutes. Okay, so there isn't anything here. So what I'm trying to look for within this zones itself is to see if there are any candles, right, where the wicks of the previous candle is actually, the wicks of the candle is holding within the wicks of its previous candle. So that's the idea. So you can see that I don't see anything on the 15 minutes or the 30 minutes. Okay, so not over here, right? You can consider this area, right? So again, just based on consolidation. So seeing how price reacted as both a support and then a resistance. You can see this area here, right? Even if you put it in line chart, you can see pretty much the same thing as well. So this, basically this area where price consolidated and then failed. Okay, so this is on the 15 minutes, right? So currently the 15-minute structure. So you can see that this is the 15 minutes low, right? So if price comes off a resistance area, right, then you can see that supply chains are starting to be respected over here. What this shows us is that this low itself can be a potential target. So on the smaller time frame, right, currently you can see that there's a lower lows, lower highs, right? On the, if you go on to the 5 minutes, you can probably see this clearer, right? So clear lower lows and lower highs being formed coming into this region. So essentially, right, when price tested this region, if it breaks below this low, forms a new low, and this would be our new supply. So this is the smaller time frame supply. Right, on the break of the structure, right, this would be a smaller time frame supply, and we can target the low here, right? So this is the 15 minutes low. Okay, so this that's the picture for me, right? Of course, again, when price comes into this zone, right, if you want confirmation on the smaller time frame, you can just go onto the either the 1 minute time frame or 5 minutes time frame to wait for the same thing, right? A change in structure entering into this area before playing the move to the downside. If you want to wait for a bigger time frames confirmation, right? So maybe let's say the 30 minutes or even 15 minutes, right? You can just wait for a break of this last low. When price breaks below this low, right? This is the last M15 low. So when price breaks below this region, a pullback to play the shorts. Okay, so in terms of the key levels that I'm looking at right now, you can see that at least on the 1 hour time frame, it's still forming some kind of ascending trend line. Right? That's one. So this low, it's still the demand area over here. Right, so even if I have to play any short-term move down, right, it will be only to this region. So this is one, right, on the H1. If price breaks below this area, right, then we could consider a bigger drop here. So yeah, let's see how this plays out. So this is my view on pound dollar, right, on the 1 hour and also the 15 minutes time frame. So other things that you can check, right, same thing, right, if this is the push up and the pullback, right, then what you want to do is again take a Fibonacci retracement of this move from low to high. So once you take a Fibonacci retracement of this move from low to high, open up this key levels, you can see that the 38.2% lines up with this zone. Another retracement that you can take from, right, would be this retracement level here from low to high. And then once again, right, open up the key levels. You can see 23.6% is slightly lower, right? It coincides with this support region here. So this is the next support region, right? If we do see a further downside, this would be an area to watch as well. So this is the picture on the 1 hour time frame, right? So currently where we are right now, if price pulls back, if you want to play a shorter term move, right? On the break of this level, if price pulls back into this zone, right, you can wait for the 1 minute, again, higher lows, higher highs, wait for the 1 minute change in structure to play a push down. Okay, so this is on pound dollar. Okay, so so for today's setup, right, we covered on dollar index as well as Aussie dollar. So if you take a look at dollar index and where it is right now, you can see that it's still the same high that we need price to break above, just this area here, right, before we play a bigger push up. So that's on dollar index. If you're on Aussie dollar, right, so on Aussie dollar, it's the same thing, right? So price coming into this resistance area here, the supply region. So there are two supply regions that are waiting for. And you can see that on this region, right, even in terms of market structure, still forming a bullish market structure with higher lows and higher highs. So we need to wait for a clear change in structure before we can play a further push down. Okay, so yeah, so those are the setups that we have for the coming week, right? And if you guys have any other questions or any charts you want us to take a look at, right, do put them under the tab as well. So I just give it about a few more minutes. Okay, and then at the same time, right, if you guys want to check out the schedule, you can go to vantagemarkets.com/webinars. We have the schedules there as well as the content that's been covered. We do have webinar on a daily basis, right? And then if you have any questions with regards to account funding, right, please email to support@vantagemarkets.com. Okay, I see that we don't have any other questions, right? So with that, we've come to the end of this session, right? So thanks everyone for staying with us till the end. Have a great weekend, and we will catch you guys again next week.